Now, yeah. Thanks. So yeah, my name is Tiger. I work for the Catalyst team, full stack developer. Yeah, so I'm gonna talk about the way I live now. My talk will be have two sessions. The first section will be about a one-year update on Marie Kondoism, and secondly, my plan to retire at 40. For the one that doesn't know, I actually gave a talk 1 year ago exactly on January 2019 about Marie Kondoism here in this office. And that's 1 year that I've been practicing it. So this is just like a 1 year update, short one. And secondly, I'm going to talk about my plan to retire at 40. And they're linked together. I hope I can make the transition obvious. So let's get started. Why do I start practicing Marie Kondo? The reason is quite simple because my room was a mess 1.5 years ago. But more exactly, my room is a mess for the 24 years of my life. But just for whatever reason, I think it's time for me to fix it. But one example is I have so many things on my desk. So whenever I want to work, I need to put the things on my desk in my bed. And if I want to sleep, I need to do the vice versa. So time for me to fix it. So as you may know, if you know me, whenever I have a problem to solve, I look for books. And lucky enough, I end up in reading this book. It's called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. It was still lying around 1 year ago, actually. My line manager read it and he recommended it as well. And then there's something called Kondoism from the book. And if you want me to describe what it exactly is, I would just say it's essentialism. What that means is you want to know exactly what are essential to your life on your physical belongings. If you don't need something, you should just throw it away. It's just as simple as that. So it's also a fight against consumerism in my mind. And you might ask, what is consumerism? So this is actually the worst slide in my talk. I make it intentionally because I want to let you know that consumerism is terrible. But it's basically is because we have so much overproduction, then it's way more than what consumer demand. So the manufacturer turned to plant obsolescence and advertising to manipulate consumer spending. But at the same time, I should not judge it talk too much because that's how all of us here get paid. Well, without further ado, let's look at the results. So this is my bedroom. Right now, I stay with a Singaporean couple, a ensuite. I have a bedroom and a toilet. So this is my toilet, a small one. But as you can see, there's nothing there. And also, if you open my wardrobe, this is what you will see. Not many clothes. Again, not many clothes. And if you open my drawer, this is what you see. Yeah. And also, this is, if you open up the toilet drawer, this is what you will see. And this, I do have some kitchen utensils. I do cook. The one funny thing, a lot of sauce, a lot of rice, 5 kilograms of rice. One funny thing though is for me, kitchen or like sauce is one thing that I can't Marie Kondo for some reason. But anyway, now I have some more bonus pictures. This is my office desk. I'm quite proud of it. It's funny, I need the 2 plants for me to work for whatever reason. And now I have some more extra bonus. This is the flat that I stay in. Like I said before, I stay with this Singaporean couple. And lucky enough, the landlady actually read the Marie Kondo's book. And they are practicing it as well. But I don't think they're as extreme as me, but it is one of the tidiest flat I've ever lived in. So I'm very grateful for them. So now, after I practicing for 1 year, so what are the positive and negative that I experienced? Because I have so many positive that I need to write down. So first of all, just because you don't have many stuff, and I am extremely conscious about the things that I own and where they are, because for each item that I own, I have a designated place for them. So I don't need to find things ever again because I know exactly where they are. And I never accidentally buy things that I already own. I stop accumulating stuff and I'm less materialistic. I spend less and I don't need to move around for me to work or sleep like what I had before 1.5 years ago. And moving for me almost sparks joy Moving is never a hassle for me, and I'm able to display what I like the most. And also because I have more empty space, I'm able to live in a smaller flat. And I also believe the way that I live now is more sustainable and eco-friendly, because that's the trendy word so far. So for sure, I have somewhat negative, which is quite funny. As you can see, because I have so little clothes that I actually need to do laundry twice per week in order for me to survive. As you can see, I don't have much of a fashion style. That's unfortunate. And I also still haven't figured out how I can go on a 2 weeks holiday. I just don't have enough clothes for that. And also, I'm less sentimental about the gifts from other people, because what should happen is if somebody gives you something for me, most likely it's not useful, then I just throw it away the minute after they are gone. So, but to me, Kondoism really is just a new way of thinking about my belongings, my physical surroundings. And after it cleansed my physical surroundings, it started to manifest in other aspects of my life. For example, my digital life. I started to question myself, how many applications do I really need for me to survive a happy life? And as it turns out, I only need 20 apps, which still seems quite a lot, but yeah, this is the 20 app that I need. I try to remove one of them, but still, it's not that easy now. But let's see. Let's see what happened after 1 year. But after that, it started to manifest in other aspects of my life. It made me start thinking what are our contemporary way of living and the different social convention that instilled by our parents or by advertisement or whatever. So I have a long list here. For example, my parents always told me, after you start working, you should save enough money to have a mortgage, to buy a flat, or hopefully a big house that you could swim in the garden. And they're also telling me, oh, renting is stealing money away. And the advertisement are telling us, oh, you should upgrade your phones every year. And right now it seems like Netflix and Spotify is probably the only way of entertainment that most of us has. And because of the Cambridge Analytics scandal last year, for whatever reason, we feel like the advertisement that manipulate politics are so important. But to me, I think all the advertisement that manipulate our consumer spending or manipulate or instill us the idea of consumerism are way more impactful to our life. But anyway, this is just my rant. One thing I started noticing is the way of working, or the way that we start working, it's quite interesting as well, because usually all of us need to work 5 days a week until the age of 60 or 55. And 5 days a week is normal. Once you start working, my life basically become work for 5 days a week for the year, and then each year you go on to exotic places for holiday. And how much you have change how far I can go or how exotic that place it is. And then continue doing this for 40 years, then you can retire. And but don't get me wrong here. What depressed me is not the fact that I don't like my job. I love my job. I enjoy my job very much. But what depressed me is the next 40 years of my life are basically will be the same. 5 days a week, work a lot, and then 2 holidays per year. But that's the part that depressed me. So I try to look for alternative to see if there's a different way of life or there's a different way of living that we can choose. So now I started to look at if any way we can retire earlier. So yeah, now this is our second session of my talk. I plan to retire at 40. Just FYI, I am 24 years old now, so I have 16 to play with until 40 years old. So, but let me first tell you about what I mean by retirement. To me, retirement doesn't mean that, oh, you stop working and then you just go on holiday, travel around the world until you die. No, that's not what I mean by retirement. But if you have money, you can do that for sure. If you choose to, if that's what you enjoy, yeah. But to me, retirement means financial independence, and what financial independence means is you have enough passive income to support your lifestyle. So, what is exactly passive income? So passive income is really not anything new. This is how aristocrats and upper class has been living for millenniums or hundreds of years. So as you can imagine, in the very beginning, we have landlords who, if you farm on it, then they could take a certain percentage of your crop, your harvest. That's how they live on. And more recently, we have a lot of landlords, we have a lot of Westminster, and we have other upper classes. If you have lots of rental places, then they can live off rent, right? It's unfortunate that I can't show a clip here, but this is the way upper class people live. But however, one thing that's quite interesting right now in 21st century is that because consumerism push prices to extremely low, like the cost of surviving is very, very low, and also because of technology, the access to financial services are extremely cheap and easy. So right now, I believe even middle class or even lower middle class can have this style of financial independence, but depend on your lifestyle. So now, there's something called a 4% rule. This is the way that I choose to become financial independent. But what it really means, in other words, is if you have a saving that is 25 times your yearly expenses, then you will be able to live with that saving for the rest of your life. So how does that work? I have an example here. For example, if I have a yearly expenses of 20K, right, that's 1,600 per month, which you could live with that in London, believe it or not. If you have 25 times expenses, that would mean you would want to have 500K. And if you assume a 5% investment return, then you will have 5 to 5K, right? If you only use a 4%, that's why it's called 4% rule, which is the 20K of the 500K. Then if you subtract that from the 5 to 5K, then you have 505K left. So as you can see, if next year you get another 5% investment return, that's how you can live off it until you die, or yeah. So this is how I choose to achieve it. So now I'm gonna tell my exact plan. It's rather simple. There's 3 steps. First thing, I want to be able to avoid lifestyle inflation, and then I want to save, aka invest 50%. And whenever I say save, it's invest. To me, it's the same thing. And then lastly, I want to have a 5% average return somehow. So now, let's see, first thing, how to avoid lifestyle inflation, and what do I really mean by lifestyle inflation? Lifestyle inflation, it's really just because for most of the people, our expenses usually increase with income. So no matter how much income we have, we always spend more money, right? That's how the usual way of living. But I want to avoid that, so that, because as I tell you, you need to have a saving which is 25 times expenses. So the one more extra pound that you spend, you need 25 pounds in the future, to support your lifestyle. So I want to avoid my lifestyle inflation. What that means is, if I get a pay raise, but maybe I won't get a pay raise anymore, then as long as I get that, I would rather put directly into my saving. So, and then, yeah, that's something I want to avoid. So secondly, I want to save and invest 50%. Right. Why 50% and why I need to retire 40 years? So there's actually something called a calculator, financial independent calculator, or rather early retirement calculator. So as you can see here, if I have annual expenses of 20K, if I want to save 50%, then I need 20K of saving, and annual income is 40K, right? And let's see, so if I save 50%, then I can retire in 16 years. That's when I'm 40, exactly 40. So, however, actually the most important thing in this calculator is actually the save rate. So imagine if you can save 90%, you can retire in 2.7 years. But another way of looking at save rate is, imagine if you have a save rate of 90%. What that means is, if you work for 1 year, you can take the next 9 years off as a holiday, right? If you have a saving rate of 50%, what that also means, if you work for 1 year, then you can take the next year off because you already have enough money to support your next year. But we can move to the other spectrum. Interestingly, for average British or yeah, whatever. Uh, we uh, we they only save 2%. Then what that means is you can retire in 85 years, which is quite a long time. But anyway, so let's go back to let's go back here. It's also unfortunate I can't show you this, but what I have a breakdown here though. So this is an investment banker who has 2.5 million income, and I want you to ask yourself, how much do you really need in order to survive? Like how high a salary you want in order for you to retire, and then this is his expenses. So he said the taxman take half upfront, so that's 1.25 million after tax, 300K mortgage, 150K for parents' gift, 150K car, 75K restaurant, 50K clothes. But eventually, it's actually done quite well. He has 400K saving. That's a saving rate of 32%. If you plug in the calculator, that he needs 26.6 years until financial independence. So based on the saving rate number alone, maybe I'm just illusional. I believe I'm richer than someone who has a 2.5 million income, right? Because it would take me less for me to get financial independence. So that's why saving rates are rather important. So now let's go back to a saving rate. How can I actually save 50%, or how can I only spend 50% of my money? It's because I've wardrobe with nothing. And also, because of condoism, I spend less, then I get more savings. That's why condoism are important part of my journey. But anyway, lastly, I need to get a 5% average return. Why investing is important is because, if you want to have 500K and if you only save 20K per year, that's my example. I need 25 years until financial independence, until I get the 500K. But because I have the 5% investment return, it cut down from 25 years to 16 years. That's like a 10 years of working, which is quite a lot. So now I need to find a way to get this 5% average annual return. As I told you before, whenever I want to solve a problem, I go back to look for books. And as it turns out, this book I ended with, it's called Intelligent Investor. It's written by Benjamin Graham, who is the teacher of Warren Buffett. For the one who doesn't know, Warren Buffett is the most successful investor on the planet. And Benjamin Graham is a teacher of him, so I'm sure his teacher has something good to say. But essentially, my takeaway from the book is there's something called passive investment in index fund. I'm not gonna talk in detail what that exactly is because I don't have much time. But what I can tell is it's a way of investing that beats 50% of the people and only take less than 5 years to execute. As it sounds too good to be true, it's actually very good and it's also true. The funny part is most of us here are already doing it because of pension fund. Because that's exactly how pension fund works. As you know, if you know or might not know, pension fund actually invest in index fund as well. So congratulations. And so let me explain what does that mean. Like why does it beat 50% of the people? And let me explain that last part first. So who here actually spend more than 5 minutes per year to look at your pensions, right? No one even care about their pensions, right? So that's why it takes so little time to execute. The fact that it beats 50% of the people is because the index fund, so it follows some kind of index, for example, S&P 500. And as you may or may not know, the trend here you see is really just the average market return. But what average means, on the other hand, is you beat 50% of the people by spending literally no time. So that's how I choose to invest as well. So this is my exact plan. So I have already set up a direct debit, 50% of my income on the 29th. The reason it's on 29th is because we get paid on the 28th. That's why I can only invest on 29th. So what happens usually is people come in and people comes out, so I don't even can spend this 50% of my income. This is also how exactly the pension fund works as well. A certain percentage of income to go directly to the pension pot, right? If you want to know exactly how I invest, this is how I invest. So 75% go to this US Total Market Index Fund. which I might change next year, but whatever. 15% go to a regular saver with 2.75% interest risk-free, which is quite amazing. So hopefully with that, I would be able to get a 5% return annually in average. So if you wonder what is the average return you get from stock market, I look at the data for the last 100 years in US stock, the annual return in average is 7.5% after inflation adjusted. So 5% is a okay estimation. It's all right. It's quite conservative. It's not very aggressive. So yeah, let's recap a little bit. My plan, only 3 steps: avoid lifestyle inflation, save, invest 50%, and then try to get the 5% average return. Right. So now, one thing I want you to worry about is, if you hear about a 24-year-old standing here talk about investment, you need to start worrying, oh, maybe the next financial crisis is not that far away, just in case. So now, this is the last slide of my talk. I show you my way of living, but unfortunately, I can't show you other ways of living by other people. But what the takeaway I want all of you to have really is just that maybe all of us should spend more time thinking about the way that we want to live. Because what I notice a lot is a lot of people just live the way that other people want them to live, or they live the way that other people want to live, or maybe even we live the way that how advertisement want us to live. But what I want you to do is really think about, as an individual, how you want to live the rest of your life. How do you want to live the way that you really think, oh, this life is worth it? So yeah, this is the end of my talk. I don't know how much time I have for Q&A. So yeah. Well, I assume I have no time, so yeah. You can ask me after the talk, and you can ask me for anything, really, even meaning of life. So okay.